All right. Well, welcome everyone to our TOMA Nation Warship Wednesday study class. Minister Raheem is out of town, so he's asked me to fill in for him. You know, he spoke this past Sunday, and so he's like I say, he's out of town, so I'll be filling in on today, and I'm going to be giving a lecture, um, but it's not going to be really just an interactive. I'll put it like that lecture. So at any point, if you guys have any questions or comments about anything I say, if if you think, Brother Minister, you done lost it now. Did you really say that? You know, feel free. I don't have no problem with that because I can defend everything I say. You know, so if you think something I done lost my mind, say it. Tell me, Brother Minister, you done lost your mind. How can you say something like that? And I'll explain to you why I can say something like that. So keep that in mind, and we're about to get started. The title of our little lesson on today is "What's Going On." Now, who is calling me? Jesus Christ! It's called entitled "What's Going On." I'm hoping. Nope, that's not it. Y'all give me a minute. I'm gonna find it. Where it is? Oh, now my mouse won't stop working all of a sudden. What just happened here? Oh, wait a minute. I really, this is not a joke. Uh, uh, there are forces at work, boy, that's trying to keep certain things from happening around here. What is all of this? Okay, we're gonna close that, open that. All right, y'all. I think I done figured this thing out. Nah, where's my mouse? Active. Okay, we go. Disconnect that all together. Nah, here we go. Whew. All right. All right, here we go. Did y'all see the stuff happening? This is crazy. Okay, can y'all see my screen now?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. All right, what's going on, y'all? You know, there's a lot of things that's going on in the world, and you know my thing. My thing has always been reverse engineering. You can reverse engineer any situation, any problem, anything, and discover where the problem actually initially occurred, deal with that problem right there at that point and move forward and erase all of the, the chaos and mayhem that that problem caused as you went through life, as you go through life, I should say. But one of the things that we're going to be talking about today, based on what's going on, is this term called end of days. Now, a lot of people, when they, excuse me, when they see this term, they think about the end of the world. That's not what this is really about. This is about an end of a period, a time period. And this time period is dealing with the opposition to God. All those that oppose God and God's way and how God does things and God's laws, God's rules, God's commandments, everyone that opposes that, this is the end of those days. Now, as we go on, I'm going to share with you that the end of these days is again, is not about opposition, but that opposition, we've termed it evil. The end of evil, the end of wrong, the end of everything that's not right. That's what we are in right now. That's the time that we are in, where all of those things are ending now. In the Bible, they call it revelations, where things are coming to an end. But the end of evil is only, you can only really look at or determine what evil is by putting good up next to it. So not only are we in the end of days, but we haven't gotten there yet, because the phase that we're really in exactly right now is what's on the screen: separation. The wheat is being separated from the tare. So that's done during harvest season. So now the wheat is being separated from the tare, which means the good is being separated from the bad. And in another lecture that I had gave before, you all remember when I put the picture up of what tares look like? Tares look just like wheat. So that means evil, wrong people look just like good, righteous people. They look just the same. But you never can tell the difference between the two until harvest season comes. Because when harvest season comes, then the wheat has a certain look about it and a way that it presents itself. And the tare does as well. It begins to start looking different. It can't hide among the wheat anymore, because it begins to show its true colors and expose itself for what it really is: tare. That's the time frame that we're in today, brothers and sisters, the time of separation. I wrote a song, in the first a rap song, about 10 years ago. And the opening lyrics of that song, of that rap song, is "Separation has begun. Can you see your only son on the streets, perpetrating, debating which way is heaven stating men should be?" So this separation thing has been into play for a pretty long time, but it's coming to a head now. Good versus evil. If you remove the good, the O out of good, you got God and evil. The separation between all of God's people from all of Satan's people. There has to be a separation. Now, let's really look at it, though. What is evil? We all consider it to be, we've seen all the Damien movies, all the movies dealing with the occult, the Omen, all of that stuff. Where it shows a lot of perverted, sick-minded, murderous type of mentality. But the bottom line, really, to evil, what is evil? Opposition to God. That's it. It's plain and simple. I ain't got to eat no bird's heads or cut no head off no chicken and spray no chicken blood over no altar and sing songs of Satan in order to be evil. All I got to do is go against God. That makes me evil automatically. Now, a lot of people don't want to accept that. That's your opinion, brother man. So yeah, but you know what? I'm the expert here. I'm the expert because I'm a minister and I've studied this and I know what I'm talking about. So if you when in an accident, you hired an investigator, a private investigator, to investigate the accident, you would rely on that person's report that they give you because they are a professional. This is what they do. And I'm telling you, this is what I do. I mean, it's not the only thing that I do, but I mean, this is what I do. I know this. I know I've been studying this for over 30 years. And I know what I'm talking about. And I wouldn't, if I didn't know what I was talking about, believe me, my lips would be sealed, because I never want to say anything that makes me look stupid or make me look like I don't know what I'm talking about. When you oppose God, you automatically back for the side of evil. Automatically. Now let's go to where this whole thing really began. Again, if anybody got any questions, just speak up, or whatever. Just speak up, and I'll pause the lecture to address your question or comment. This whole thing that we are dealing with all the way up to today, how we're dealing with COVID-19 and all of that, all of it starts right here. Right here on your screen. You're looking at it right there where everything started. It started with a war that took place in heaven. You don't hear too many preachers talking about this. At least I don't. I'm not saying that they don't, but you don't hear too many preachers talking about the war that took place in heaven. And if they do, God bless them. But this war was very important to what went on in human history after it. Because now you got to keep in mind, this war that took place in heaven took place before Genesis. This was before a Bible. This was before a Quran. So this predates in the beginning, this war that took place in heaven. Now, for those who may not know, well, the common childhood story that I told when we were little is that Satan and a group of the angels went against God. They fought, lost, and Lucifer and all of those that fought with him were cast out of heaven. Now, that's kind of where the story stops. They never really tell you that Lucifer and the third of the angels that were cast out with him were cast to the earth. They were cast out of heaven, but they were cast to the earth. And while on the earth, Lucifer, well, once he was cast out of earth and he fell, his name changed from Lucifer to Satan. And Satan was given 6,000 years, y'all, to rule the earth. This is not discussed. Nobody talks about this. If Satan was allowed to rule over the earth for 6,000 years, it explains everything. We aren't taught this because we don't want to see. Because if Satan has been ruling this world for over 6,000 years, and we look at the condition of the planet Earth and the people on the earth and the systems that are being implemented in this earth, we can see that this is not a very godly planet. There may be some people on the planet that believe in God and try to do right and things of that nature, but the majority and the masses of the people, the humanity of the planet Earth, are not. Look, let's get an understanding here. Heaven is this place in the sky that we are taught that we go to when we die. You can look at the little picture that I have here on the screen. It's very angelic. Nobody has ever came back to tell us whether it exists or not, but we were taught it and we believe it. But now, let me ask you this question though. If Satan was given rule over the planet Earth, then is it not he and those that are with him that have been teaching us this concept of heaven and earth. Now, if it is Satan, and I believe it is, because he has been given 6,000 years to rule. If Satan is still ruling, excuse me, that means the concept of heaven that we have been taught by Satan is not the true interpretation, because Satan would not want to give you anything that leads you back to God. He would want to mislead you. And we've heard this preacher, I've heard preachers teach this, that Satan mixes a little bit of truth inside of his lies. He's the master, he's the architect of lies, but he always mixes a little bit of truth inside of the lies, right? So if this is not really the true interpretation that we are receiving of heaven and earth, then it's real clear why we don't understand certain things about Bible scripture. We read these things, and the interpretation that we get about heaven and earth, you know, we think, because we believe that you go someplace in the sky when you die and meet your loved ones, that you're following the precepts of God. But this is not God. I see a raised hand. Sister Ebony, you want to say something?
Where did you get the number from?
Which number?
6,000.
There was a what's his name? Hubert Armstrong. Y'all can look him up. He's a Christian preacher. Well, he was. He's not alive anymore. He's an older guy.
You said Hubert?
Hubert Armstrong. And he was put back in the early 70s and 80s. He was producing a publication called The Trumpet. And Minister Raheem, back in the day, we used to study. He had some study lessons and study guides that he produced for those that followed, that were a part of his congregation. And he would send them out for average anybody to be able to go and pick up. And we got that information from Hubert Armstrong in his publication called The Trumpet, and through his study guides. Is that good? Does that answer your question for you?
Do those, other than the study guide, is there anywhere else where that number is that says the same thing?
I can't say for sure, but let me ask this question. Is your concern about the number because there may be question that Satan never really had rulership over the planet or something to that effect? Is that where you're going with this?
No, my question was like where because you putting out multiple points, and so
Okay.
one is the rulership, and then one is the time frame, and then saying that the time frame is coming to a close. So I was just trying to see, pre the trumpet, was anybody discussing this rulership predating his guides?
I believe the Nation of Islam also teaches this 6,000 year rulership. I don't know if it's in the Quran or not, but I believe the Nation of Islam does teach this as well. But I just want to make a point about the 6,000 years, that let's say, okay, let's say this. Let's erase the 6,000 years and say that it was only 1,000 years or 2,000, whatever number. My point in bringing it up is that when you look at the conditions of the planet Earth, do you think those 6,000 years have ended yet? And because at the end of that 6,000 years, God's kingdom was supposed to come in. So do you think God's kingdom is here. That God's kingdom is on earth, and this is paradise, or this is God's rulership that we're living under right now? Or do you think that Satan is still in charge? See, that's what I want you to be. See, that's the main thing that I want you to look at. Whether it's 6,000 years, 1,000 years, 2,000 years, however many years it is really irrelevant. The relevancy is, what condition is this planet in? Is it in a condition that would be feasible for us as rational thinking people to believe that Satan is at the helm of this thing? Or do you think God is at the helm and he just went to sleep and just let everything go willy-nilly? You see? So again, that's one of my reasons for bringing this up. So we can look at the condition of the world and understand why things are like it is. You know, I hear people all the time talking about, how could God allow babies to get shot like this? How could God do this? And how could God, I hear it all the time. That's because we are not aware that God has given Satan rule over this planet. And if his rule is still in place, and if what I'm saying is true, that the separation is the beginning phase of Satan's rulership ending, then this is why I'm giving this lecture. Because if you want to be on the right side of this thing, you need to understand and know what is really going on. That's why I titled this, What's Going On? You really need to know what's going on. And prayerfully, with the help of God, tonight, I'm going to share with you guys what's really going on. We are not living on a planet under God's rulership. We are not. There are people that believe in God, like myself, and prayerfully, those of you that are under the sound of my voice, that are fighting daily, day in and day out, to keep our peace of mind, to keep our hearts from waxing cold, so that we don't get bitter and have a cold heart towards people because people have done us wrong, because the world is just so horrible. We are still holding on. You see, we are praying every day. We're praying for deliverance. There are those that are on this planet that are like that are looking for a sign from God to say that there is hope for us, and that our belief and our faith is not unwarranted. Well, I'm saying, brothers and sisters, God has given me this lecture to give today as your sign of there is hope. And your faith in God, even though we are living in a world ruled by Satan, is not unwarranted. Now, you have to understand what heaven really is. Heaven is not a place out in the sky. Your mind, that's heaven. Can anybody see your thoughts until you manifest them? You don't even really understand what a mind is. Most of us think that your mind is your brain. No, your brain is not your mind. The brain inside your head is the ground wire where your mind is grounded to, so that you can access your mind. The brain is that ground wire. So now let's look at what is the mind? See, because we got to really break this stuff down. You got to understand what we are dealing with here. If we are looking to go to heaven, and if we are everything that we have learned, we learned that that God created the heavens and the earth. But do we really know what that really meant? What that really means to us? God created the mind and we're going to get into the earth a little later. But look what the mind is. The elements of a person that enables them to be aware of the world and their experiences, to think. That is the major, right here, brothers and sisters. That is the major component, excuse me, to mind, thinking, thought. This is what connects us and makes us, gives us the relationship that we have with God. We in the TOMA Nation, in the Temple of Mercy Association, we know that the creator of the heavens and the earth, we call that entity the great mind. The great mind. God is a great mind. Now, let me help you understand what your mind is. We can all do an experiment right here today so that you can understand what mind is. And many of you have probably experienced this before. Have you ever closed your eyes and thought about a place that you love being? Let's say you like being on the beach. Let's say you like being at the zoo. Say you just like being in your family home that you grew up in. You can close your eyes and think about the beach. And you'll be there. But you have to be in a quiet place. You can't be in the middle of a supermarket. You can't be in your living room with your kids running around making all kind of noise. You have to be in a quiet place with peace and quiet. Close your eyes and just think. And if you're thinking about the beach, if you're thinking about an ocean that you had visited at some point, you can begin to hear the waves hitting the shore. You can begin to smell the sea salt. You can do all of those things because your mind travels at 24 billion miles per second. Million, I'm sorry. And so you can travel in your mind from where you are right now across the country to California. You can travel all over this planet with your mind. Even places you've never been. If you've seen a picture of the Great Pyramids, you can close your eyes and envision the Great Pyramids, and you can be there. This is the power of the mind. This is when they say God is omnipresent, he's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. This is what this is, brothers and sisters. Because in your mind, you could be everywhere, but you're not really there. That's where everywhere and nowhere at the same time. You're not really there, but you're there in your mind. And so this definition talks about your thoughts, that to think has a great deal to do with the mind, not the brain. Understand, the brain is nothing but a housing mechanism for your mind. Now, this next part, I put it in red on this definition because this was inserted here to throw you off. Because you have to understand who gave us this definition. I Googled this. So Google is not a creation of God. Google is a creation of Satan. Satan created Google. And so the definitions that you get from Google have the truth mixed with lies. Now, this is a lie because when it talks about, I'm gonna read the whole thing so you can see how it doesn't fit. The elements of a person that enables them to be aware of the world and their experience, to think and to feel, the faculty of consciousness and thought. Now, feelings is a physical emotion. Nothing about the mind is physical. Nothing at all. It's all very spiritual. You can't see it. Thoughts, you can't see a thought. You can't see consciousness. Feelings are produced by the flesh. I don't know who this same person keep calling me. From Michigan? I don't know who that is, but oh, I think I know who that is. I know who that is. But anyway, these feelings do not fit in a spiritual definition, but it's placed there because in our actuality, what Satan wants is for your feelings and your senses that are connected with the flesh. Satan wants that to dominate your thinking. So he slides it in here because we all have feelings. We know what our feelings are. And if you are an individual that are led by your feelings, and what I mean by that is, if you are led by your emotions and your desires, and those emotions and desires lead or depict how you think. Now, let me give you an example so you can see what I'm saying. Now, most times you think about a thing, you know, I think it's time for me to eat. It's such and such a time. I think it's time for me to put something in my body for today. Let me go get something to eat. Thinking, go get something to eat, action. Now, the opposite. Your stomach starts growling. Now you start thinking, damn, my stomach growling. I'm hungry. I need to get something to eat. Your stomach, the physical feeling of hunger dictated your thoughts. Not your thoughts dictated your actions. Y'all follow me? So this is why things like this are promoted in this world and in this society. Your feelings and all of your other senses, your sight, hearing, the sense of touch, your sense of smell, your sense of taste. All of those things are what would I call fed in the human existence, so that your emotions would dictate how you think. When in a God fearing man and woman, it should be just the opposites. Your thoughts should dictate how you feel and dictate your actions. Y'all, I hope y'all follow me. See, look, this is the example that Google gave of the mind. As the thoughts ran through his mind, see how he thought about it first? He came to a conclusion. Thoughts, mind, action. This is a formula for God. Thoughts must dominate how you conduct yourself in everyday life. But if your thoughts are generated from your emotions or by your emotions, you are no longer an agent or a servant of God. You are a servant of the flesh, which is a servant of Satan. Came first. I asked the question: thoughts or actions? You know, a lot of people ask that verbal that question the age-long question, who came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, I'm asking, what came first, thoughts or actions?
Thoughts.
You say again, both?
Thoughts.
Thoughts, oh, most definitely, yes. Because thoughts are what generate actions. You can't have an action without a thought. Everything you've done in your life, in this life that we've existed, we had to think about it first. A lot of us have a lot to think about right now. We're thinking about whether we should get that COVID shot because we're being forced to by our jobs. You haven't done it yet, but you got to think. You're thinking about it, right? Thoughts always come first. Now, but the thing is, if based on emotions, if fear, which is an emotion, is what's fueling your thoughts, if that's all you can think about, but if I don't get the shot, I'm gonna lose my job, I ain't gonna be able to pay my bills, I ain't gonna be, if that's fueling your thoughts, then that is going to generate the action of what? Getting the shot. Now, I'm not saying whether you should get the shot or not. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm showing you, I'm just using that as an example. I'm showing you how thoughts generate actions. Thoughts are first. And how your emotions and most of our emotions have taken over how we think, which is not good. Because your actions and your feelings are not supposed to take over how you think, because thought is God. And God is supposed to be on the throne, not fear, not lust, not hate, not any of these emotional things should be sitting on the throne of your thoughts. God should be sitting on that throne. Now, that's the mind, or that's heaven. Heaven, it's out here. You can't see it. But if you close your eyes and thought about heaven, you can envision something. You can envision anything you want to envision. You know why? Because you are a God. Not the big G, but the little g. You are a child of God. Even when you're in your creative mode, you can close your eyes and you think. You can think about a thing that you want to produce. Some creative people may paint, some draw, some write music, some make beats, some write lyrics for songs, songwriters, things of that nature. Some people are architects, and they can just close their eyes and envision things in their mind. See, this is God. This is the God in you. But if the God in you has been superverted, or what's the word I'm looking for? Superseded by the flesh, which is, we have here on the screen, the human body. Earth. This is the earth that's being spoken of. So, the human body. So now let's look at this thing again, dealing with Lucifer getting cast out of heaven. Let's look at it again from our new perspective of looking at it. So now, if Lucifer was cast out of heaven, what is that saying? That's that there was a Lucifer became an opposing thought to God's thought. Let me give you, I just want to give you an example of it. You believe, and I'm just using the COVID vaccine as an example. This is in no way a campaign or statements to convince you to get it or not get it. That's not what this is about. I'm just using it as an example in this teaching moment. If you felt that you weren't comfortable getting the COVID vaccine shot, you thought about this. And everything that you thought about came back to you saying, I'm not comfortable getting this shot. And then someone tells you, or people start saying, oh, well, you can't come to my wedding. I invited you to my wedding, but you can't come to my wedding if you don't have a card saying you got the vaccination shot. Or you can't come into this restaurant. I love going to Red Lobster. You can't come into Red Lobsters now. Again, this is an example. I'm not saying Red Lobster is banning people. You can't come into Red Lobster unless you've been vaccinated. You got 2 weeks to get vaccinated, or I'm gonna have to let you go on this job. These are other alternative thoughts that are being injected into your mind, into your thoughts, causing you, well, let me say it how it really is. These are emotional injections from other people. They're being injected into you, causing you stress, fear, anxieties, all these things, which are emotions, causing you to now let these fears and these stresses dictate how you see this thing now. You see what I'm saying? So when God was in heaven, when all this was going on in heaven, so really what is it saying? That everything that we're talking about, this war that took place in heaven, this is something that was going on in the mind of God. Listen to me now, y'all, please. In God's mind, Lucifer went against something that God had put in place. Let me show you how Lucifer does it in your own mind. Yeah, I just bought this new house as a what did they call it? A fix me up. I bought this house. It was pretty dirt cheap, and I'm gonna fix it up and either rent it out or I'm gonna sell it and flip it. I'm gonna get into flipping houses and make me some money flipping houses. You don't know nothing about flipping no doggone houses. You need to stick to what you know. Stay in your lane. What's wrong with you? You lost your doggone mind. Y'all see how that conflicts with your thinking and your thoughts and your vision? What God did was he kicked those thoughts out of heaven. He kicked them out. He cast them out. He casted them out to the earth. Oh man, I know y'all ain't getting this. Man. Those thoughts were cast to the earth. Okay, I'm gonna just keep going. Like I was saying, God had to separate his thought. See, we have positive thoughts, and we say it all the time. We don't want to be around negative people because those negative vibes have effect on you. Those negative comments have an effect on you, don't they? So you have to separate, protect your thought, protect your mind from negative influences. And this is all God did. He cast it out. God's thinking versus those opposition thinking. Those that oppose God's thoughts are what God had to deem evil, satanic, cast out, thrown away. Now, evil, all opposing thoughts to God was cast out of heaven, God, in the mind of God, to the earth to be manifested in the flesh. So everything that was going on in God's mind, he cast it out to the earth that he could manifest it. Let me show you how that looks. If you decided that you wanted to you decided you wanted to be a artist, you wanted to paint, you're pretty good at painting, you wanted to get into painting and buy canvases and get you a studio and all of that and get into art. But there was some doubt there that you really wasn't really sure, or somebody planted doubt. You know, you ain't that good of an artist, you okay. You know how people do. And it's usually because of some hateration, but anyway. But my point is that now you're kind of conflicted. But now let's say if you had a friend like yourself that wanted to be an artist, and you invested in that friend to see if that friend could bring to fruition what was envisioned in their mind. You took it out of your head and you manifested in the flesh. Now you sit back and you watch it evolve, and you watch it go through the motions or the cycles of change and things of that nature until it gets to its final destination, its end result, which is success or failure. So God cast Satan out, but now you got to understand something. See, a lot of us don't even know what the altercation between God and Lucifer was. In the Holy Quran, I believe it's chapter 7, Surah 7. In the Holy Quran, it tells a story about what went on in heaven. And I'm going to share it with you shortly and see how much time I have. Lucifer, no, I'll say this. God, now understand this too. You got to keep this in mind. We're talking about thought. So in order for you to see what I'm saying, you actually have to close your eyes and think about it. Put yourself in God's spot, in the story that I'm about to tell you. Put yourself there and then watch the whole thing play itself out in your mind. All right, here we go. Now check this out. God, remember, God thought. We ain't talking about a physical person. God was thinking about creating a being to rule over the earth. That being was a human being that he thought about creating called man. The Bible says Adam, whatever. Now, God, in his thinking, taught Adam all of the names of the angels. Now, mind you, God never told the angels what their names were. But God taught Adam their names. And then God went before the angels and he asked the angels, and Lucifer was present, what is your name? Tell me your names. And the angels looked at each other and they were like, we can't tell you our names because you haven't given us one. You never told us what our names was. Then God looks at Adam and he says, Adam, tell them their names. And Adam begins to tell each and every one of them their name. After Adam finishes telling the angels their names, God commands the angels to bow down to Adam. Lucifer refused. Now, this is where it comes in. This is where the what is it called? The opposition comes in. Lucifer refused to bow down to Adam. Why? And God asked Lucifer, why did you not bow down when I commanded you? And do you know what Lucifer said? Check this out. And this is the problem. And this is what Lucifer got kicked out for. I am better than him. You created me of fire and you created him from dirt. This happens in our society every day, all day. This is gonna make you laugh because I mean, I couldn't believe it when I seen this. I saw a crackhead talking about an alcoholic. Look at that doggone alcoholic over there. He can't go. He fainting like a mug. Look at him. He needs somebody to give him some money so he can go get him wine. Boy, I tell you, people just need to go get them some help. Now, this is a crackhead, but he thinks he's better. No, I said that. I reversed it. I said it backwards. It's the alcoholic that thinks he's better than a crackhead. Look at him, fainting. You know, so the alcoholic, for some reason, think because he doesn't smoke crack that he's better than the crackhead. But both of them are addicts. You see? And this goes on our planet every day, all day. And so when God asked Lucifer to bow down to Adam, Lucifer refused. Now understand this. Lucifer was God's right-hand man. He ran heaven. Now, what does that really mean? Because we're not really talking about a physical place, right? We're talking about the alter ego of an individual. Let me show you what I'm talking about. And I mean, this makes it so clear because we all have this. Each and every one of us have an alter ego. My alter ego was called Ice-T or T-Bone. Minister Omari is the opposite of Ice-T and T-Bone. But do you believe to this day there are still some people that call me by that name, those names? You got some people out there that call you Junebug, but your name is John. You got some people that call you Vicky, but your name is Victoria. But who is Vicky? Vicky don't take no stuff. Victoria is a pushover. Y'all know what I'm talking about here. So I'm saying in God's mind, there was a war that was taking place. There's a war taking place in your mind too. Because you are children of God. And he threw all this out of his mind and threw it to the earth that he might be able to look at it. And you and me, we are all participants in this great experiment to prove that Lucifer's thoughts were wrong. I'm going to say that again. This is a great experiment to prove that Lucifer's thoughts were wrong inside God's mind. It's manifesting right here on the earth. This is why Lucifer was giving control over the earth. And as we can see, things don't look too good. I ain't got that much time, so let me finish. Any questions, comments, anybody?
Nope.
All righty. Now, manifestation. Opposing thought to God now exists on planet Earth, but there was no bodies for the opposing thought to attach itself to. So, in ushers Darwin's theory of evolution. We all know what Darwin's theory of evolution was. Primitive Caucasians. They were created from Darwin's theory of evolution. Not the black man and woman. And I can prove why. See, a lot of people think, and it's kind of weird, because people think that when you're telling if you're speaking about historical events based on life, that if you bring up almost like with how the Jews, when they talk about the Holocaust and how they express the role of the Germans and Hitler and all those people that participated with Hitler in Germany, when they speak of these people, can the Germans stand up and say, well, that's racist? You're being racist against us. No, the Germans can't say that, can they? For some reason. And I understand why, because we're dealing with Satan's world. And in Satan's world, definitions, everything is controlled by him. How did it say it? I can't think of what I'm trying to say. But Satan controls the narrative. That's what I was looking for. The narrative in every situation is spun and controlled by Satan. And so if you say something about individuals that done you wrong, like they do Minister Farrakhan, how Minister Farrakhan speaks about the Jews, and then they turn around and call him an anti-Semite, which anti-Semite means anti-black. How can Minister Farrakhan be anti-black speaking about the Jews, and the Jews ain't even black? They're not Semitic. But because Satan controls the narrative, and he controls the airwaves, and he controls the media, and he controls the newspaper and everything that you read, everything that you see, everything that you hear, everything that you smell, he controls everything, that he controls the narrative by which if he says what you are doing is anti-Semitic, then it's anti-Semitic because he said it. And he gonna get 100 people to say that it's that because he controls the narrative. And so if I say that the Caucasians are the primitive Neanderthals that were produced from this theory of Darwin's evolution, somebody can stand up, and it's usually be a black person, will stand up and say, you're being very racist with that comment, with that statement. You're trying to say black white people were cave people, as if black people couldn't have been cave people. Do your research, people. There are no caves in Africa. Black people could not have been cavemen. There are no caves in Africa. Now, Europe, that's a whole nother story. Cavemen. These are white people. Caucasians, ancient Europe. Now, why am I saying all this? Look, you got to know your history. They say it all the time, or you're bound to repeat it. Ain't that what they say? But now look at this, though. Now, this is a map of Africa. This is Africa. Now, I'm going to go back to it because we might have missed it. Cain, y'all know Cain and Abel of the Bible? Cain, after he killed his brother Abel, he went to the land of Nod. This is why this next screen is so important. The land of Nod was originally in what we call today Saudi Arabia. And Cain, he built a city called Enoch that was in the land of Nod. Now, if you look right to the left over here, you see it says Garden of Eden. This is where Adam and Eve was, and this is where Cain was too. Until he was banished because he killed Abel. But now let's take an even closer look at this thing. Now we see up here, this is Saudi Arabia. Here it is over here. And here's the upper part of Egypt where the Garden of Eden was. Now you see there's a river here that separates Egypt from Saudi Arabia. That river is called the Red Sea. This is the same Red Sea that Moses and the children of Israel crossed in order to get to the promised land. So I just got to ask the question. Brothers and sisters, the promised land of God's people is where?
Is that in heaven?
If look at it, look at the map. This is Egypt. If the children of Israel crossed the Red Sea to get to the promised land,
Jerusalem.
do you see Jerusalem on this map?
I can't even see that map. I'm
They
near.
see this?
I mean, let's see. I can make it bigger.
I just made it bigger for you.
Okay.
Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
Now, think about this. I think the richest person on planet Earth, it might not be because I think some other people took him out, but this guy, what is he, a sheikh of Saudi Arabia, was on top of the charts as far as wealth. You know why? He's sitting in the promised land. All of this was supposed to be for the children of Israel. Now, I'm not going there. That's not really my lecture. That's just a sidebar. So you all can see that this biblical stuff it's telling us some things if we would only look and see and really investigate and dissect certain things. Now, when the Egyptians crossed the Red Sea, now this is the Red Sea. They didn't go this way into Libya. They didn't go here to Sudan. The only way they could have gone out of Egypt across the Red Sea would be right here into Saudi Arabia. So now I'm saying that because we have to understand some things about this thing that went on in biblical scripture dealing with Cain and Abel. I'll put some scriptures down here. I only got about 30 more minutes, so I hope I can run through some of these real quick. And again, if anybody have any questions, feel free to, like Ebony did, raise your hand. I'll see it. It pops up on my screen. Genesis chapter 4, verses 12 through 16. Verse 12, check this out. It says, when thou, now mind you, I'm going to set this up, the scripture up, so you can know what happened before this. This is Adam. This is Adam speaking to Cain after he discovered that Cain killed his brother Abel. Now, this is in verse 12. This is Adam talking to Cain. Then when thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall thou be in the earth. Now, we know what a fugitive is, right? That's somebody that's wanted for a crime, right? What's a vagabond? Can anybody tell me what a vagabond is?
A bum.
A bum? Basically. a homeless person. Pillar to post. Right, so now, if Cain is the original, well, I wouldn't say the original, but he is a representative of the Neanderthalic race. Because you have to remember, they gave a description of Cain as being red and hairy all over. And they said Cain, his skin was brown and smooth without hair. Now that's a whole nother story and a whole nother lecture. I'm not going to go there. While one brother.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Wasn't when he left, when you showed the diagram of the land of Nod, that he went over to his people?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. But you see, you have to understand how he came to be born, to understand, because somebody from his people came over into the garden and impregnated Eve. That's what I'm saying. That's not this lecture. That's a whole nother lecture. And Cain was born, but Cain was not Abel's son. I mean, not Abel, Adam. I'm sorry. Cain was not Adam's son.
Eve was wilder.
Eve was a representative of Eve today. Ain't nothing changed. We keep going around. This is a vicious cycle that's been going on since the garden. Same thing is happening. But ain't nobody teaching us proper history about the scripture and what the scripture really means so that we can see what's really going on. This is why my lecture is What's Going On? Marvin Gaye said, what's going on? I'm trying to show you what's really going on this planet Earth. And by using the tool of reverse engineering, I'm going backwards to show you where all this crap started. And then bringing it up to date so that you can see how it evolved into where we are right now. And then when you can see that, then you can make a conscious decision to change it for yourself. You can't change it for nobody else. You can only change life for yourself. And your example of change is what changes other people. When they see your change, they will then will question you and be wondering, why are you so peaceful? Why aren't you afraid? They will inquire of you. What is it about you that's so different? And that's when you share your peace, your God, your life with those that inquire of you. So Satan, I mean, not Satan, but Cain, or the Caucasian race in itself, were vagabonds in the earth. In verse 13, it said, and Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. Now, I want to stop right there real quick. Now we kind of understand why everywhere the Caucasians go, murder, chaos, and confusion follows. Because he was cursed. Cain was cursed from killing Abel. And now everywhere that this Caucasian goes, now I'm not going to do the research for you. You just do your own, what do they call it? U.S. history. And you'll see everywhere, starting with, you can even start with the Pilgrims that came to the peaceful Indians and killed their chief and put his head on the dinner plate, that they were supposed to be having a peaceful dinner with the Indians, the Native Americans, I should say. They killed the chief and took over Plymouth. You heard that old saying, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. These people came in as murderers, killers, taking over the land of the Native Americans because they believed they were better. That is the satanic mindset. When you think that you are better than somebody else, you are a satanic thinking person. And you are no longer an agent of God. You can't call yourself a child of God. You can't associate yourself with God. I don't care how many times you go to church, how many days you go, how much tithe you pay. You are an agent of Satan. I'm just keeping it real. I'm telling you the truth. Now you make the adjustments. You do the due diligence in your life to bring yourself out of this crap. And 15 now it says, the Lord said unto him, therefore whoever slay Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any find him should kill him. That's a whole nother lecture too. But I just want to get through this. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. Y'all see that? Nod is, here's the Garden of Eden. Nod is east of Eden, Saudi Arabia. Now, at some point, the Caucasians, or I call them, for not a better term, the Canaanites left Saudi Arabia and went north into Europe. That's where you find your Caucasians. The Adamites, they went into Africa. Right? Actually, Adamites, we went all over the world. But my point is that Europe is where the Caucasians is their home, or better yet, it's their base of operations, where they branch off from, basically. Excuse me, sir, I'm in a meeting. Please let me call you back. Some people just can't take don't answer as a, I don't know. But anyway, okay, what was I saying? This guy just kind of threw me off.
Europe is was the Caucasians' base of
Base
operation.
of operation, yes. They that's where they sprung from.
They HQ.
Exactly. The HQ. Now we can understand slavery a little better. Why was slavery? Why did they? In Genesis 12, when thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto you her strength. So the Caucasians couldn't grow anything because they were cursed by the Lord.
And all
And
they
so,
get,
say again.
that's why their diet consisted mainly of raw flesh.
Yes. Because see, man, this is just so deep. Because God gave all of us, even animals, fruits and vegetables as meat. But at some point, that changed. The Canaanites needed the Adamites to till the ground for them because Cain was cursed by the Lord. This is what preempted slavery. Now you can see how all this is building up. You see, it came all the way from a thought in God's mind, cast to the earth to manifest itself. And it grew all the way up from Cain killing his brother, going to Nod to meet his wife, where the rest of his Neanderthal Canaanite people lived in Nod, all the way until they went into Europe and came out of Europe into America, which they thought it was India. Remember Christopher Columbus? See, and again, that's a lie. And we celebrate this holiday every year. And we don't really care if it's a lie, just long as we can barbecue and drink and have fun and have the day off of work.
Because it's interesting that you say this, because literally everywhere that they went, from when they went from Europe to Australia, Europe to America, like everywhere that they went, they did the same thing. All they did was murder, rape, and pillage because they thought that they were better than the people who were there.
Exactly. And that's a satanic mindset. And this is why Elijah Muhammad said the white man is the devil. Now, I just proved it to you. But he's not the devil by himself no more. We're going to get to that. He's not the devil by himself. Woo, we only got about 20 minutes, y'all. A simulation begins. That's what I'm calling this slide. Now, we all remember the Civil War, right? North versus the South. Red coats, blue coats. United States, Confederates. Why did I call this a simulation?
Separation.
No, I'm not. You have to understand what a simulation means. A simulation means I'm bringing you into myself. Let me show you what I mean. I'm assimilating a softball team. Ebony, I want you. I want Willie. I want Joshua. I want all and Cheryl. I want all y'all on my softball team. I just assimilated a team. I brought you all onto my team.
Are you saying simulate or assimilate?
Assimilate.
Oh,
Assimilate.
okay.
You see it at the top. Can y'all see my screen?
Oh, now I see it. Assimilation begins. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But why am I saying assimilation? Because see, when we are taught the Civil War, the part that deals with Black people, we are taught that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves because the slaves helped the North defeat the South. But the part that you really don't see is that the freeing of the slave was the beginning of assimilation into the Canaanite way of thinking. Were the slaves really freed? Did I spell freed right? Looks kind of funny. But
Looks
the
like
emancipation, it's right? Okay, thank you. Now, this act was supposedly to free the slaves from slavery, but the Black man and woman still could not vote like Canaanites, could not own land like Canaanites, I should say, could not provide for themselves food, clothing, and shelter like the Canaanites. So, if you were made free, but yet and still, you still didn't have the luxuries and the benefits and the rights of those Canaanites that were around you that previously enslaved you, then psychologically, you would be programmed to believe. Remember what I was telling you about how your feelings can begin to dictate your thinking? See, your feelings are being left out. Your feelings are being overlooked. Your feelings of being poor and out of doors and all that. Those feelings begin to dictate how you think now. Now I have to think that if I want the things that these Canaanites have, then I have to carry myself like a Canaanite. I have to present myself like a Canaanite. I have to think like a Canaanite. I have to socialize with Canaanites. The fight to assimilate. Since the Emancipation Proclamation, Black people have been fighting for our civil, social, and economic rights to be like a Canaanites. I'm gonna say that again. Since the Emancipation Proclamation, Black people have been fighting for our civil, social, and economic rights to be like the Canaanites. We are sent to their schools so we can receive their education, which dictates how you think. We receive their history, not our history, their interpretation of the history. Can you imagine the Jews going to school being taught by the Germans about the Holocaust? You think the story would be a little different if the Germans. If the Jews went to school and the Germans was teaching history, you think the Holocaust would look like the Jews depicted, or would it look a little different? But we go to the Caucasians' school, which I have to say again, Satan's rule, Satan's school. I'm gonna say it again. Satan's rule, Satan's school. They teach us their version of history, their version of math, their English, their version of science. We go there to get an education so that we can come out and work for them. Not just employment, slavery. It's slavery all over again. Why can't we see it? You know why we can't see it? Because they pay us. And we think that makes it okay because they pay us money to be a slave. They pay us money now to follow their orders and their instructions. And we do it all so we can get money, give it back to them for food, give it back to them for the clothing that we wear, give it back to them for the houses that we rent for them, or that we the homes that we purchase from them through their mortgage companies. This is the same things the Canaanites gave the slaves. 3 hots and a cot. So show me, tell me, prove me wrong, brothers and sisters. We still enslaved. Now, even look at this. Check this out. How much time I got? Ooh, about 12 minutes. The Canaanites issue out degrees to their assimilated Adamites. Associate's degrees, bachelor's of science degrees, you know that's some BS. Doctoral degrees, and the almighty master's degree. Receiving these degrees determine your level of assimilation or your level of acceptance into the Canaanite society or Canaanite society. Sounds a lot like Canine, doesn't it? Canite, I don't know. Anyway. Now, rewards for assimilation. Better jobs than those that don't. If you don't assimilate, you forget it. You left to the street world. But if you do assimilate, then you get a good job. Economics are better. You get management positions. You could become a CEO. And I hear some of y'all, no, I got my job as a manager because I went to school and I studied and I did the things that I was supposed to do to get my degree. And they recognize my skill set because I'm a good manager. Only reason you're black behind managing any white person's situation is because at some point, whether it's through your education, whether it's through you bleaching your skin, straightening your hair, whatever it is, you have assimilated to the point where you can represent them. When you talk like them. Some of you have that Becky tone, talk just like Becky, and how she talks and the little way she raises her tone, her voice at the end of a statement, you know, like it's a question mark. We learn to assimilate ourselves into their thinking, into their mindset. This is why Minister Raheem has been preaching for I don't know how many years. Come out of her. Come out of her ways. Come out of her thinking. Come out of her methodologies by which to solve problems. But I only got a couple of minutes, so let me finish this list. Afford better house. You can afford better housing and clothing, cars, and etc. because you're making good money. You can become a politician. You can get political positions because you have assimilated. Even higher education opportunities, great acting roles, great entertainment opportunities. You get the best writers for your projects because you assimilated. Now I want to show you all this real quick. If you got any children, if there are any children in the room, please remove them right now because this little segment has a little. It's not good for. It's only good for adult supervision or adult viewing, I should say. It's not suitable for children, so please remove children from the room. and keep them from the room for the next 5 minutes or so, as we view this video. I want to
Hey,
show you all.
is this live on YouTube and
Yeah,
everything? Well, you might want
yep.
to go unlive because they
Well,
might
ain't
try to
nobody.
flag you.
I mean, it ain't no sex. I mean, ain't nobody having sex and nothing like that. I mean,
Okay, all right.
yeah, it ain't nothing like that. What this video is going to show you, I'm showing you where a certain form of a simulation took place. Back in the 70s and 80s, I think it was. It might have been a little later than that. There was a campaign that was spreading all over the world. It was called Girls Gone Wild. You all remember that? Girls Gone Wild? I'm just going to show a little bit of this. Check this out. Okay, I'm going to stop that right there. I was going to go into the COVID thing, but I might have to do that at another time because time is running out. But the reason I showed that video, because did you see that you only had to be 18 to purchase that video? And this video was is very raunchy, and young black boys were going crazy. Not only young black boys, young boys, period, and even old dirty men were breaking their necks buying this video, and it changed the thinking of men. It changed their thought processes to the point to where how they saw women. And in order, then women had to adjust themselves in order to fit in with what men liked. So they had to assimilate themselves into a wild, a white, to a girl gone wild type of white girl. The way, the hair, the clothing, the sexuality, everything, in order to fit into the desires that were placed in the minds of these men through these types of videos and even pornographic stuff, so that they could fit in and be considered beautiful. I'm going to end it right there. I thank you all for listening. Brother Will, you had your hand up. I didn't even see that. Or was that old?
Yeah,
Will?
no, yeah, I was there. That was earlier when you was mentioning
Oh,
the school, people attending schools and whatever.
mm-hmm.
So, is it not safe to say people could go and obtain the information on whether it say to be a mechanic or something in school and come out with a degree?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the mindset that you go through that process
No,
in.
well, it's really what you do with it. You
Right.
see, if you take it, you come out of school and you go to IBM and get become a general manager for IBM because of your degree, then that's what I'm talking about. You see what I'm saying? I'm saying that you're using it to assimilate yourself into the Canaanite society and you, well, you can rub elbows with them. Now you're a part of their corporation. You go to dinners with them. You go on retreats with them. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
This is the simulation that I'm talking about, because we want all of the things that they have. You know, the lifestyles of the rich and famous was another thing that programmed our thinking back in the day. You know, when we used to see all of the homes of all these rich white people and everything and how they was living, and then we look at how we living, looking at their TVs. They had the stuff that we have now back then.
Right.
You know,
right. Because in ancient times, the roles was somewhat reversed, because they would
yes.
come to our schools and try to
Mhm.
emulate us and take credit. That was the thing. They would try to steal it. So
Right. You see what I'm saying?
right,
That's the difference between us. We'll go
right,
to their schools and we don't come out and create our own schools and take that knowledge and say it's ours. We'll give them credit until we die.
right,
But when they came to our schools, they tried to kill us, came back and sent Alexander the Great to ancient Kim to burn down the libraries of Alexandria so that there would be no proof that they stole, that Plato and Aristotle and all of those thieves stole the knowledge that they came back to Greek with, and now are getting credit for it all over the world. They have been killing and stealing and ever since Cain killed Abel.
It's their modus operandi.
It definitely is. We still want to rub elbows with them. We want to say, "This is my buddy." You see what I'm saying? And we don't remember the story of the snake. I'm gonna end with this, and we're gonna close out with a prayer. Sister Ebony, after this, you close us out with a prayer, please. You Once you know the nature of your enemy, you can't turn around and say, "Oh, well, this is a good snake. He's froze out here on my doorstep," and take him in your house and put him by the fireplace and let him thaw out. And then when the snake thaw out and bites you, you wondering, why you bite me after all I done for you? And I really thought you was my buddy. And the snake told the fool, "You knew I was a snake when you brought me in. So you know he the devil." I'm telling you right now, him and his woman, they are the devil. And I just proved to you how they are the devil. Now, if you take them in and you get bit, that's on you. God bless you. Peace. Sister Ebony, take us out.